Welcome to Untold Horrors. I'm Jamie.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Steph.
This is the podcast where we mine the depths of Tubi in search of buried treasure.
We are here to sacrifice our free time and likely our sanity, so you don't have to.
Each week, we fire up Tubi, spin the Roulette of Despair, and let its keyword search decide our fate.
Is it a hidden gem, a misunderstood masterpiece, or a flaming garbage heap wrapped up in VHS nostalgia?
Join us as we laugh, scream, and occasionally question our life choices.
One obscure horror flick at a time.
Who will survive?
And what will be left of us?
Untold Horrors, because Tubi's algorithm has no mercy, and neither do we. So let the roulette spin, and let the suffering
And let the suffering
begin. Untold Fate. It's time once again to spin the Roulette of Despair and pick a theme from one of our 10 options. Now, before we do that, I'm going to read off the current list of options, and I'm going to give each of us a chance to remove and replace one option. You can choose to pass if you like the wheel exactly as it is. So here are the options: folk horror, slaughter, gore, torture, hospital horror, animal horror, dolls, demons, cosmic horror, and monster horror. Jamie, do you want to hold the wheel or make a change?
I think I'm going to hold for this occasion. I have a few, but I want to save them.
All right, Patrick, what about you?
I would like to make a change.
Okay, what are you replacing? What are you removing and what are you replacing?
Taking out torture, replaced with werewolves.
Ooh, timely. Okay. And as for me, I am going to take out gore and I'm going to replace it with true horror.
Okay, I want to take out cosmic horror and put in found footage.
No, you already passed.
I didn't know you guys were going to pass too.
You get an option to pass or to make a change, and you chose to hold.
All right. Okay.
Do you want to make a change?
Yeah, I do.
Well, don't get a tone with me. I'm not going to fucking let you, okay? Do you want to make a change?
Yes.
Okay, what are you changing?
Cosmic horror.
And replacing with?
Found footage.
Gross. All right.
There's just not enough cosmic horror out there yet for there to be a good cosmic horror movie. There's like 2 or 3.
That's not true. It's just not true.
Of course, everything I say is not true.
Now, what falls under what's true horror? Is that just horror movies based on true stories or like
Tubi's going to
documentaries?
decide that for us. Tubi's going to decide that for us.
Okay.
That's the fun of it.
That's the thing. We randomly enter something, and some of it's going to not be anything related remotely to what we enter, but it's what's kind of fun.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I've got to update my wheel. Okay. The wheel now reads thusly: slaughter, true horror, werewolves, hospital horror, animal horror, dolls, demons, found footage, monster horror, and folk horror. And I am about to give it a spin. So fingers crossed. The wheel landed on slaughter. Now we go to Tubi, go to the search bar and enter the word slaughter. I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock. We have only 1 minute to pick one film from here that looks interesting to you. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the timer has gone off. Who would like to say what they picked first?
I'll go.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I was just gonna make Jamie go, so I'm ready. What'd you pick?
I picked a movie called Summerhouse Slaughter.
With the panda on the cover?
With the panda on the cover, yes.
Okay, why don't you read us what the synopsis is?
Gladly. After a cheerleading squad is mutilated to death by sulfuric acid, the sole survivor is left to protect a new troop against the psychotic panda.
Oh my god, do we even need to hear each other's?
That's Tubi for you.
Shit.
How can we not watch that?
I don't know, I feel like one and done. But just to be sure, Jamie, what do you have?
Slaughter of the Vampires.
That was going to be my second choice.
On what should be the most romantic night of their lives, a honeymooning couple find that they're the targets of a bloodthirsty, terrifying vampire.
My pick was Blood Mountain Massacre.
Oh,
It is an hour and 33 minutes. It is a horror comedy. And the description is, on tour through the backwoods of Georgia, a band find themselves stalked by an escaped killer with a chilling connection to their own sinister past. I know what I lobby for. Patrick, which one of those three sounds best to you?
Define best.
Best to
Because I'm down
discuss.
for Summerhouse Slaughter with the panda.
Jamie, what about you?
I like that choice.
I like that choice too. I
Yes.
think Patrick won today's.
All right.
That looks good. I'm excited.
And it
I
stars
wonder if that's
Ari
who
Lehman,
does it
the
star?
first Jason.
Yes. All right. So here's the next part of this. We are going to everyone navigate to Summerhouse Slaughter and open it up. So we're going to navigate to that you may also like section.
Yes.
And we're each going to pick a film that we're going to watch independently and give a very quick mini review of. And the way this is going to work is first one to shout something out claims it. 3, 2, 1.
Bad Nun 3.
The trash man knocks.
Snow falls.
Untold Fate.
So let's get into it. And we're going to see if this film, originally titled Cheerleader Camp to the Death, is worth cheering for, or if it left us at the bottom of a broken pyramid of disappointment.
Let's get into it.
And I don't know where to start because I have, as I was telling Patrick before we started, literal pages of notes for this
boy.
hour-long movie. Pages and pages of what is happening right now notes. Yeah. And Patrick watched it. How many times did you say? 12, Patrick? Because he couldn't get enough?
It felt like 12. For
Um,
an hour-long
Jesus
movie,
H.
it felt
Christ.
like I was watching Dances with Wolves.
Oh,
it does share a lot of
Gee.
DNA with Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
it does?
So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. There's a
Like
lot of
what?
pathos. There's a lot of
Patheticos.
like grand ideas, a lot of like really high emotional stakes.
One has a long running time and the other just feels like it's a long running time.
You say that because it was like about 20 minutes in, I think. I was like, I feel like I've been watching this my whole life. Like I've never not been watching this movie. And we're 20 minutes in to an hour-long movie. It's really, but it's not slow. It's not like there's not shit happening. I just don't understand. I don't understand how it feels so long.
I don't understand how those actors, if you want to call them that, actually thought, okay, we'll do the casting agent first, then the director, then the actors, why they thought that it was a good idea to do this and that their acting would be appropriate and good.
Well, let's.
Oh my
let's,
God, they killed my boyfriend. Oh my God, I bet he's outside. We better run, Casey. Run quick.
That's pretty
The
good.
first thing that stuck out to me was the acid and the first scene with the acid bath from the sprinkler.
Yeah, I wrote
And the
down that
cheerleaders are getting
opening
sprayed.
scene. Yeah, the opening scene kind of kicks ass, though, right? Like, I kind of
Except-
was like, I love this right now.
But why did the one cheerleader? Why did her tongue fall out?
Because science, Patrick. I don't know what to tell you. It's sulfuric acid, and that's what happens scientifically.
Doesn't make any sense.
You can Google it.
That was the
Sense-
high point of the movie.
Sense cannot be made. It must be sensed.
The first minute is the high point, and then it's all downhill from there, guys.
Downhill.
So let's just set the stage for our lovely listeners. We start off, you've got these sexy little cheerleaders, and they're doing like a little risque cheer. And, like one of those bring it on type of like, I'm so sexy, look at my ass kind of cheers that we all love. And then suddenly the sprinklers go off and it sprays sulfuric acid all over them. And it makes their skin peel off. And it's actually like kind of a really fantastic opening. And at this point, I'm all in. I'm like, holy shit, Patrick, like you fucking nailed it. Like this is bringing it. It's speaking of bringing it on. Like this is good shit.
There was one really good effect where one of the cheerleaders put her hands to her face and then she pulled her hands back and the melted skin was stuck to her hands and it was like pulling her skin off. That was great.
It's pretty good.
And like you,
this
I
is
thought
like
it was
a $5 movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is not bad. And then
It's not bad.
It got worse.
And then, so from there, after this like mass tragedy where all the cheerleaders die, you get this new group of, I'm going to say 40-year-old cheerleaders. And they are arriving to cheerleading camp where they are greeted by caretaker Ari Lehman, who, as we mentioned, was the original Jason, the little boy Jason in the original Friday the 13th. You know, he's like kind of
we should point out, Steph,
Okay.
that, and I didn't catch this till the second viewing, is that the cheerleader camp they're going to is supposed to be the same as the cheerleading camp where the acid sprinkler happened, even though the settings don't look alike whatsoever.
Yes. And the reason that you know this is because right off the bat, you get this very, I'd say in an hour long movie, this is about a 15-minute monologue where the main girl of the film is giving this very melodramatic speech about how she was supposed to be at the cheerleading camp, but I can't even, I tuned it out. She was sick or something was going on and she wasn't able to make it. And then all her friends died. So she's got PTSD. And in order to deal with that PTSD, she's decided to return to this cheerleading camp where this awful stuff happened and try to like face her fears.
As one does.
Yeah. So traumatized main girl who I don't know her name. And she's like the main girl. And I couldn't tell you her name to save my life. Does anybody know her name?
Goth
Oh.
girl.
I'm going to call her Susan. She's standing there. And all of a sudden, this really hot guy walks out of the woods and he doesn't have a shirt on. And there's like this insane, sexy music playing in the background. This like sort of down chicka bow wow music. And he's doing these like sexy poses. And then suddenly he's like covered in blood. And he's like oiling himself all up with the blood and smearing it all over his like glistening body. And and then it like cuts away. And I believe that she's hallucinating this, but there's never like, you don't know. There's never discussion about it. It doesn't serve any purpose. There's no like, there's no reason for this. Yeah. It makes zero sense. It's just like thrown in there. And and I wrote down literally, this is a line from my notes. I was like, this is kind of fucking amazing because it's just so batshit crazy. I was like, what is happening right now?
I totally agree. I had that same reaction. Not that this was great. I was like, this is insane. I was like, is she hallucinating him? Who is that?
What is this?
It's like, he wasn't killed in the acid bath.
I feel incapable as both a critic and a writer and a human being. Movies like this just flatlined me. It just didn't. I mean, I wasn't even frustrated by it. I was just like, this movie is totally dead and cold. And it just, I was planning on what videos I was going to watch on YouTube after the movie was over. I mean, that's what I was doing.
So, we talked about that the movie promotes on the poster that there's a killer in a panda suit.
Uh-huh.
And you're sort of wondering, like, all right, how does this come into play? And
Killer furry.
And the way
I
that
wish.
it comes into play is thusly. I'm going to describe this scene to you because I need you guys to understand the magnitude of this film.
Okay, argue it to us.
And how ridiculous it is.
There is as always, there's a stereotypical blonde mean girl uber bitch who's like really nasty for no particular reason at all. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Her name is Courtney. And
Of course it is.
I know that it's Courtney. And that's important because I could not tell you literally one other person's name in this entire film. But I fucking knew Courtney from like minute one because this girl 100%, like she single-handedly carries the weight of the film on her shoulders. She's so great. So she's like hanging out and then a car pulls up and she walks up to the car to meet the person in the car. And it's this dude and he's wearing a panda suit. And she says, "Hey, what the fuck is up with the panda suit?" And I wrote this down. So this is a literal quote, guys. He says, "They're endangered animals. I was hoping I'd get some sympathy sex." That is literally the explanation for why this guy shows up in a panda suit. Like, it's like, I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck did you just say? And then,
it's an important part of dialogue because there's a callback to that at the end of the movie.
Yes. So they're obviously like, this is good. This is good stuff. And we're going to need to remember this down the road. And the reason that this guy shows up is because she has asked him to bring a bear trap for some fucking reason. And he's like, "Hey,"
she wants the goth cheerleader to step in.
Yeah, she wants to scare but that's how she decides. Like that's where her mind went. Her mind was like, I don't like this girl because she's annoying.
There's a bear trap.
So maybe I can call this guy and have him bring me a fucking bear trap. Like, who in the world would come up with that as a solution?
And not a regular bear trap, like a Looney Tunes bear trap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like this huge.
Yeah. And then the guy says, this is the crazier part. Well, I don't know. That's not the crazier part, but this is an equally crazy part. The guy in the panda suit, who's wearing it because they're endangered and he's hoping to have sex, says,
yeah, it's a bear trap. Says
to Courtney, the greatest character in the movie, "Do you even know my name?" So we're led to believe that this girl calls up this guy that he's not even sure she knows his name and randomly says, "Come out to this cheerleading camp in the middle of fucking nowhere and bring me a bear trap." I'm not even going to tell you why I need it because he has to ask her when he brings the bear trap, "Oh, by the way, why did you need this?" And then he's like, "Why the hell am I even doing this?" She bends over. Shows him pulls down her pants, shows him her ass, and he says, "Oh yeah, ass."
Yeah.
Fucking cinematic gold this scene is. I was like, I'm so here for this right now.
I think we were meant to get the impression that Courtney gets everything she wants, and that's how.
Sure, we are, but like she they're setting up the fact that she doesn't even it's not like they met at a bar and he's like trying to buy her a drink so he can hook up with her. She has to like have his number to be able to contact him to say, "Hey bro, it's me, hot girl. I'm at this cheerleader camp in a cabin in the woods," which is ostensibly in the middle of fucking nowhere because they make a comment about it that they can't leave, they're trapped. could you do me a big favor? Could you do me a solid? And could you bring me a bear trap? Why she even knows he has a bear trap, why he even fucking has access to this thing, no clue. None of it's ever explained. And he's like, sure, babe, I gotcha. Drives out, gives her the bear trap, and then's like, hey, by the by, why do you need this? And she's like, oh, this bitch is on my last nerve, so I need it. And he's like, cool. I'm in a panda suit for no fucking reason. And oh, by the way, funny. Do you know my name? And oh, by the way, why am I doing this? Oh, yeah, ass.
Meaning you wouldn't have
preferred...
does lead
to a great line of dialogue with the bear trap and Courtney later on.
Which line of dialogue? Because every line of dialogue is golden. Which one did you particularly love?
Near the end, she accidentally traps herself in the bear trap.
Please,
and
Courtney.
She looks down and she's like, at least it pushes my boobs up.
I'm not mad about it. Doesn't she say something like that? Like, it's fine. She has just fallen on this bear trap, which you knew. I mean, obviously, right? It sort of foreshadowed that. She's fallen. It has pierced her right through the chest. Like, you know that hurt like a son of a bitch, right? She doesn't even scream. She doesn't say ow. She doesn't do anything. She just, like, it gets her. It's killing her. She's about to die. So it's obviously pretty intense. And she's like, well, at least it pushes my boobs up. I'm not mad about it. And then dies. That's her fucking death scene. Courtney, please. I love you. This is so good.
It's a bear trap corset.
Anything for you, my queen.
She is a real gift to humanity, and I love her with every fiber of my being, unironically.
Courtney understood the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
There you
my
go,
queen.
Yeah. Well, I personally would have rathered it be a mad furry looking to avenge his horrible high school life on the cheerleaders who picked on him when he like wore a squirrel tail in his pants or whatever. I was hoping for a vengeance movie.
Yeah, there's
a furry vengeance movie, not a acid face vengeance movie. We're like, no.
You guys, okay, so listen, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to go on this journey with me, whether you want to or not. This is going to have to happen.
Go ahead. Convince me it was good.
I'm not convincing you. I just want to discuss. Some of the magic that's happening.
You're getting close to the next magical scene.
Well,
of like that's like what the hell are they doing?
Every second is the next magical scene, but let's see where we get to when we land on the one that you think is magical. Because for me, it's right after Courtney shows her ass and walks away into the woods. And Panda Boy's sitting in the car, and another car pulls up beside him. And he's just watched Courtney walk away into the woods like a second ago, guys. Like it is literally a half second. And he says, when the car pulls up, he says, Courtney, as if Courtney's pulled up in the car. Who she just called him to bring her a bear trap, but that's Courtney. And then he says, his next line is, someone who isn't Courtney. Fucking seriously, guys. And then he says, his next line is, this better end up in boy girl sexy time. It's like, what is happening? And then the car fucking stops, right? And again, a half a second after this, the camera never moves. We see the car pull up beside him. A half a second later, for some reason, Panda Boy gets out of the car and goes to like check on who's in the car. And there's nobody in the car. Like how the fuck the car got there and parked itself, we don't know. And then for some reason, he immediately like decides to open the car and start looking around. And then there's a note in the car seat and he's like, oh, let me open that and start reading it. This must be for me. It's like, that's everything that happens in this movie is exactly like this. It's like one fucking thing after another just happens. There is absolutely no rhyme or reason. There is not even the remotest attempt to explain any of it. And it's almost like that's the fun part. It's like, they're like, we're just going to do shit and it's not going to make any fucking sense and we're not going to care.
I don't care.
It's like, for some reason, it seduced me with its insanity.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
It actually makes me want to sit down and watch a movie with Steph while drinking.
You know?
Yes.
I think that would be amazing.
How are you guys not like...
Yes.
And Patrick, let me ask you this. So I think I am at the scene that you probably did think was magical, because my next note is random dance sequence.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
That dance scene in the middle, for no reason, they just start like rando dance. This is where I think the comedy's supposed to come in, but it is because this movie's an hour. I've said that like 100 times because I just need you to understand that in this hour-long
And this
film,
is at the 24-minute mark.
yeah, there's so much filler. There's like 5 minutes of movie in this hour-long film. Is this where you think is the magical scene?
Yes, but there is actually a minor magical scene before that.
Oh, a minor magical scene.
Yes, because the killer who kills the boy in the panda suit steals the panda suit.
Mm-hmm.
And normally, in a horror movie, they would just wear the bloody panda suit. Not our killer.
Oh my God, they
Our killer puts the panda suit in a washing machine so it's clean before the panda goes out to kill.
So fucking good. And guys, are you okay?
I fucking watched it.
I just can't. Just can't. Well,
It's good,
I was
right?
thinking. I was thinking about how she took down the panda and started to bash the panda head. Oh, Stephanie.
And it's clearly, they make it pretty obvious that it's a woman doing this. Like there's like, you can see the hands putting it in the washing machine, and they're very like delicate lady hands. They don't try to hide that at
Very
all.
much.
I wrote down again, another literal note from lifted right from my page is, why is this kind of awesome? Like I'm just eating this up like it's Cheerios. Like I'm like gobble 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 yum 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 yum. It's so fucking good every second of it.
I understand.
I wrote down, this is supposed to be sexy, but it's so not.
Well, again, we have 40-year-old cheerleaders.
I understand your enthusiasm. I have
No, you don't.
I have no, I do, because I felt this for movies in the past too. Like just like, wow, this is so fucking bad and crazy. It's just endearing, but I just don't have those kind of emotions for this one.
So let me give you my deep dark confession.
Okay.
And this is, I'm handing you some material that can and will be used against me in the court of law. And I'm doing this willingly for the sake of the show. So I want kudos and props for being so brave.
Future
when
bits.
I share this story.
Give us those future bits.
So I have, in a past life, attended a real life cheerleading camp.
I knew it. I fucking
And
knew it.
I can promise you, with all sincerity, that it was nothing, even remotely close, to whatever the fuck is happening in this movie. Because what kind of cheerleading camp is out in the middle of the woods, and the attendees are just a handful of these 40-year-old women and like one coach, and like, and there's nothing, there's no like schedule, there's no routine, there's no program, there's no classes, there's no anything. It's just they go out to the woods and they like fuck around and dance and, you know, tell traumatic stories. And it's
even though in
banana
the
pancakes.
opening monologue you were talking about in the car, they kept reiterating, this is going to be hard. We're here to work.
Yeah.
No cell phones. There's a, you know, they were saying like, we are going to be on schedule and get stuff done.
Yeah.
And then none of that happened.
Because in real life,
like one training session interrupted by a fantasy guy being sprayed in blood.
let me tell you that real life cheerleading camp is like boot camp. Like they take that shit fucking seriously. Like you are about to, you're about to like go fight for your country. And it's like,
Well, technically
it's like,
you are.
It's like intense and serious and like regimented and like crazy. And it's not like, let's go fuck around.
Squad, tin hut, as you were.
I need to also point something else out. So I don't think we've talked about, no, there's a lot, Jamie. So you just need to buckle up, Buttercup.
This movie.
We didn't talk about the fact that like this is hosted by Malvolia. Is that how you say it? Queen Malvolia?
Queen Malvolia.
Okay.
She is wonderful. I love her.
She's great. But there's a scene,
Yes.
there's a death scene where it's death by plunger to the face.
Mhm.
Yes.
And she interrupts it. And the way she talks about this is like, it is the most shocking and innovative death scene of all time. She's like, I've never bravo to this movie, which I kind of get because like,
Yes.
you know, I also was like bravo to this movie. But also like definitely not the most shocking and innovative death scene.
No. Well, that was probably part of the.
I was
you know,
hoping that she
maybe-
hadn't actually seen the scene, that she had just like read the script. Because I feel like if she had actually seen how it was portrayed in the movie, she would not be applauding it.
Yeah, she didn't actually watch this film. They're just like, okay, like say some shit here. And she's like, okay. It's not that
And to
level.
give some context to what's going on, it's one of the cheerleaders taking a bath. And the panda comes in with a plunger, sticks the plunger on her face, and starts plungering her. But she doesn't even go under the water.
Mm-mm.
Like, could we have had a shot where her head goes under the water to add to the idea that she's drowning and suffocating? They don't do
She
that.
doesn't even resist. Like her hands aren't tied. She's not like
No.
incapacitated. She's just in the bath.
And the plunger isn't even really, you can see that it's not completely sealed around her face, which makes it funnier when you see her corpse later, that there's a red ring around her face where the plunger was supposed to be. Like she wore some weird ass CPAP mask.
Oh my God. It's so good. And then at
No,
this
it's not.
point, at this point, they're like, oh my God, this is the first time they're like, there is a killer among us. And
Oh, wait. And this leads to another
golden
classic
scene
line from your favorite.
From
golden
Courtney,
scene from
right?
your favorite. Yes.
I'm Patrick,
Who
I'm going to
infers
let
that
you
she might
say
have
it.
killed herself. I don't remember
Oh.
the line. I didn't write it down. But she comes in, they show her the body because the cheerleader's like, oh my God, it's like she's dead and she doesn't believe it. So they bring her up to the bathroom and she's looking at her and she goes, maybe she killed herself.
Oh, Courtney. No, my favorite line, what I thought you were going to say is they're like, oh my God, who's doing it? And then somebody's like, well, maybe it's the groundskeeper. And she's like, ooh, he's ugly. And then she's like, listen, if I'm going to be killed, I want to be killed by someone hot. And I'm like, Courtney, you're amazing.
And yet none of them are acting like they're trapped with a killer.
No,
They're just kind of
they're
very like
calm.
blasé about it.
But then there's this line where they're like trying to figure out, like they're trying to be detectives. And somebody says, all right, let's go through a checklist. What do we know about bad men? And I think it's Courtney who says they hate women. And I was like, oh shit, is this secretly a feminist horror film?
I'm getting a kick, like a real joy at how much you are stretching to find anything good about this movie.
I'm not stretching. This is
stretching.
Yes.
I'm on page 2 of about 23 pages of notes, guys. So
You did
this
not
is-
write 23 pages of notes.
I'll send you my notes. I'll send you my raw notes and you can see it.
The
in all
script
its
of this
glory.
movie
I
was
totally
probably
believe.
15 pages long.
So good.
The piecing together the puzzle is the craziest thing in the world because it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever, even remotely. But there's this line
Absolutely none.
where main girl is like, this is an exact quote, but this is pretty close. She's like, oh shit. When I saw the 8 on a card, I thought it was an infinity symbol. But the first clue was a 6. And then the second was an S for 7. What? And then she's like, and then the last clue was 9. So this must be an 8. And I was like, I'm fucking dead. Like, hands in the air. I'm exasperated at this point.
And then on top of that, the numbers in the envelopes that they're getting is supposed to give them a clue about who's next.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you assign any of the numbers to any of them? Like,
But Patrick, it's not about who's next. It's about like the big reveal is that it's revealing that someone will be killed every hour, and it's telling them like how much time they have before somebody else gets killed.
that even makes less sense.
Because Patrick, it's all about time. And as the main girl tells us, that makes sense because cheerleaders use stopwatches. What? You guys. It's insane.
I'm remaining quiet because I don't want to contribute one more word to this.
All right. Hold on just a second. Just tell me if you can hear this.
That was a head on a desk.
I can hear it.
Exactly. That was my head hitting the desk.
And then the best part of the whole movie, the whole glorious fucking movie, is there's this crazy ass reveal. And I genuinely wrote down, I was like, I know they just did a reveal. I have no idea what's happening and why. But then the cop comes to talk to Final Girl. and he's fucking great because he's like, so she took her mask off and then she's like telling you all her motives and the plot and everything, why she's doing what she's doing right before she dies. And she's like, Final Girl's like, uh-huh. And he's like, that all sounds a little too Scooby-Doo. And then he starts going, and why was she dressed as a panda? And then the main girl's like, I don't know. And he's like, really? Because that would have been the first question I asked. And then he's like, and also, I don't understand her motives. And I'm like, no shit. Nobody understands her fucking motives. And it's so self-aware because it's like they wrote this movie intentionally not make any fucking sense. And then like wrote a scene where they make fun of the fact that it doesn't make any fucking sense, which is either genius or really fucking infuriating and like a real dick move. And I maybe both. I'm just really not sure at this point. But at the end of this movie, I'm like, what is happening?
But you jumped over when the final girl is stabbing the panda and the old couple pull up in the car.
Oh,
and
Jesus
the old
Christ.
woman in the passenger seat leans out the window and goes, that's an endangered species.
They're endangered. Yes. Yes.
And then the cop says another weird thing. The final girl asks for a phone to call her parents. And when the cop throws the cell phone to her, he goes, thank the taxpayers for that. Like,
The cop next to
Really
Courtney, the
political
cop
there,
was the
aren't they?
best character. Yeah.
So whoever made this movie is very much against the government sponsored cell phone program.
Yeah. This film's got some layers. Before we get to our final assessments, which I mean, clearly there's going to be some reviews happening here. I mean, it's that much is obvious.
Aren't you
Before we do
tired?
that, no, I am like, it's like I have been reborn, and I am
sounds like
fresh and
she's-
anew again.
yeah, Steph sounds like she's had a bunch of Monster Energy drinks right now.
It's this film. This film has given me life. It has really invigorated me in a because the world's kind of, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but things are a little messy right now. There's some stuff happening. Yeah.
It's all right. It'll work
And
itself out.
it's tough, it's not the best. You wake up every day and you're like, what fresh hell is this? But
Crybaby.
this film has given me just a new lease on life. It's given me hope to keep going. And I feel grateful. I feel grateful for this experience. And that leads to the transition of it is time for our 5-word review.
Untold verdict.
Patrick, I'm going to have you go first.
I prepared 2 if you didn't like my first one.
I prepared 2 as well.
So did
Patrick,
I.
you and I are kindred spirits. You know what I mean? Like we are right there in sync.
High five. Okay. So the
Third
first
wheel.
one I wrote down, my first reaction was, I'm sorry I watched this.
Okay, short and sweet, to the point. Good.
5 words.
Hit me with your next one.
Awful in ways never fathomed.
That's I prefer the second one, but even though it's wrong and it's an incorrect assessment, it is well done. Well played.
Thank you.
Jamie, do you have 2 as well, did you say?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear them.
Devoid of life and blood.
I mean, I feel like there was both life and blood, but
There was some
opinion.
blood.
Did you not see the sexy guy rubbing blood all over his chest? Did you miss that part? Because I rewound it a few times and there was lots of blood.
And there was an eyeball on that rod that went through the one cheerleader's head.
Mm-hmm.
My other
There
review.
were some good death scenes.
My other review is suck my dick, stupid cheerleaders.
Wow. That's almost there's a
I
little
was
like
angry.
Yeah, there's some like anti-feminist misogyny type bullshit happening in there.
No, nah.
All right, guys. I have a couple of 5-word reviews. And the second one is, it's potentially a cheat. It's kind of semantics. It kind of depends on how you look at it. But both of them are paying homage to my cheerleader camp roots. And the first one is, gimme a WTF. The second one, and this one is my favorite. Ready? This shit is bananas. BANANAS. And I did count BANANAS as one word because kind of,
Well, in that case, you should have counted WTF as
well, see, in the first one, I counted WTF as separate words because it stands for what the fuck. But bananas is spelling out one word, even though it's 5 letters. Or how many letters?
I think by now in the 2025 zeitgeist, WTF is one word.
Yeah, I mean, it can be one word, but also like in my version, it would have been give me a W, give me a T, give me an F. What does it spell? If I could have had the words to be able to do it. But instead I had a shorthand and you got give me a WTF.
I reject your version and substitute it with my own.
Anyway, I'll just say that those were really good and I expected more applause and appreciation for them. But that's okay. I'm going to give myself the love that I deserve. Because in this day and age, you got to give yourself. What'd you say?
I'm not going to touch that response either.
Okay.
You said you're going to give yourself pleasure or something. Yeah, and I said I'm not touching that one. That's what you hear.
You hear what you want to hear, Jamie. You really do. And always what you want to hear is something gross and skeezy.
Dirty. I am such a dirty boy.
Okay. It is time for our final assessments. We are going to decide if this is a dig or a dud. Meaning, should we dig up this buried treasure or leave it lost in the Tubi abyss? Jamie, what say you?
Leave this in the Tubi abyss. My only caveat there is if you're with a bunch of friends partying, it's probably going to be a blast. But as far as lonely, I'm going to watch a horror movie. Terrible. Bad choice.
Patrick?
Leave it lost in the Tubi abyss.
Unsurprisingly, I'm going to take a different stance. And I'm going to say that you should dig up this buried treasure. And beyond that, I'm going to say that you should serve it on a plate and warm it up and just put your face in it and just gobble every minute up and just like enjoy the shit out of this because it is delicious and glorious and magnificent in ways that I do not have the words to express. And this is really not only something that I think that you should watch, but I think that you must watch. I think it is absolutely essential.
I would add that I would say dig up this buried treasure if you plan on watching it with Steph.
Yes, come over and let's have a party.
I'd be with you if it was a real panda doing the killing and not somebody, a slasher in a panda suit.
Stephanie, do you remember the movie we watched?
Jesus.
It was a found footage movie, and you didn't watch the last second. And we were talking about it on the show, and I said something about a koala.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what are you talking about? Koala? And I'm like, yeah, it was a koala.
That was the entire point of the film. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick, there was this stupid thing. Monsters killing kids in the woods, found footage. And the last survivor has his camera. He's bleeding to death. He's at the very end. And he turns the camera up and there's a giant rabid koala bear.
like the koala bear in The Simpsons attached to their plane home from Australia. That's amazing. I love that.
It was good.
It was, and that's not an imagination thing either. I mean, it was a koala.
No, I had to go back and rewatch it, and I rewatched it on the air. I think we were recording. I was like, wait, I'm sorry. And I
Yeah.
had to go back and rewatch it. I was like, and it's like literally in the last like fraction of a second of the film.
It is. It is.
This big reveal of like what the fuck is happening. It's insane. Insanity. Good shit. Well, that was fun. Patrick, I may just let you pick all the movies from now on. That was a real crowd pleaser.
I only picked that because I thought it was going to be a real panda as the killer.
You're obsessed with
Yeah.
this panda.
It would have been great because there's the new edginess of the furry that if you incorporate it into the movie, it actually kind of gives it a few layers that you apparently saw anyway, but I didn't see any.
I don't want to beleaguer the point and talk about this more than necessary, even though we passed that. We passed go a long ass fucking time ago on that one. But there's no point. The panda, there is no point. There's no reason that the panda suit exists. It's not for any purpose. It serves no plot line connection. It just is. I guess because they thought it'd be fun. Yeah. That doesn't tie into anything.
And you don't even see the panda until the panda's doing the actual killing. Like they could have at least had some shots where like the cheerleaders are dancing and like way in the background, you just see the panda running by, watching them from the woods or something. But you only just see it when it's doing the killing act.
It's this movie has got to be seen to be believed. It really does. And I need you guys to overlook the 2 very negative responses that you got and just trust me when I tell you that you need to see this film. You need to. It's essential.
Now, while I picked this film to watch, I no longer accept any blame for anybody who watches it because Steph is wholeheartedly pushing our listeners to watch it.
Yeah, no, I will. I'm going to die on this hill because this film deserves it.
Untold bonus.
Now that we are done dissecting our slaughter pick, it's time for us to quickly review our individual bonus picks recommended to us by Tubi. We picked these films from the You May Also Like recommendations that were served up to us by Tubi. Jamie picked Snowfalls, Patrick picked Bad Nun 3, and I picked a film called When the Trash Man Knocks. So my bonus pick was a film called When the Trash Man Knocks, which I picked for the intriguing title and almost entirely for the killer cover art drawn by Mark Schoenbach of Sadist Art Designs. Now, a little aside, I am a graphic designer, and I want to pause here for a very quick PSA. And I want you to keep in mind that I picked a film to watch solely for its badass cover, knowing absolutely nothing about it. And this is why it's so upsetting when people try to say design doesn't matter or creators just slap a god-awful AI-generated cover on their book or film and think it's totally fine. So I digress. That was a little bit of a selfish plug, but I just want you guys to know that this cover design is epic and it made me want to watch this film. And shout out to the designer. And like I said, when I picked it, I did not even know what it was about. I didn't even know that it was released as recently as 2023. And fun little fact, it just so happens to be one of those rare Thanksgiving horror films, which we do not have nearly enough of. So this gets added to the pantheon. It's a little fun surprise. The synopsis is as follows. A mother and son face their worst fears when a disturbed killer returns to their small town seeking to establish a twisted version of a family. With that out of the way, here is my 60-second review, and I am starting the timer in 3, 2, 1. This was a surprisingly good Southern fried slasher that's ultra low budget, but thoughtful and made with lots of care and love. It's full of horror references, including a loving homage to Dario Argento, which earned it significant bonus points. It's far more serious than the title suggests, with themes of generational trauma, PTSD, identity, the importance of believing survivors, and the pain of recovery. It's bleak, dramatic, and sincere, with characters you actually care about and genuinely tragic, well-executed deaths. Ultimately, the film asks, what's worse, the initial wound or the permanent scar? It's also made by someone who, like me, is clearly obsessed with John Carpenter's Halloween and thinks that Jamie should suck it. Final assessment, dig up this buried treasure on Tubi. Yes, let's give her a hand. That was very well done. Very well done indeed. Who wants to follow that tremendous act?
Jamie does.
Do I?
Very good. Let's hear it.
All right. I chose Snowfalls, also because of the cover. I like snow. I come from snow places, and I happen to think dead branches with the background of snow was pretty beautiful. So,
Jamie, do you have
Snowballs-
friends in snow places?
I accidentally said snowballs instead of snowfalls, and you totally ruined it. So
I'm so sorry.
You could have
no.
had such a classic moment there, but you ruined it. You ruined it.
No, I think I made it better, but that's okay.
Snowfalls, 2023, 1 hour and 19 minutes. 5 teenagers head to a remote cabin to party, but a winter storm leaves them stranded, with their sanity slipping as time passes. After an unbearable 30 minutes of banal and mundane travel and settling into a warm cabin, 3 boys and 2 girls engage in some unrealistic, sexless, alcohol-only New Year's partying. We learn about their fears and trauma, which include a recently dead mom, hypochondria, and unrequited love. Their fears eventually work against them as they suffer through a non-snowy snowstorm without power. There is a toxic poison contaminating the snow, and it drives them all insane. The movie is unforgivably plain and boring until the toxic snow begins wreaking havoc. A forgettable snow horror helped by an interesting second half premise. That was it.
So is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I would actually give it a thumbs up. As long as you can survive the first 45 minutes, the whole idea of the toxic snow, there's like a point where they want to party with the snow, and they fill a bowl up with snow and they make alcoholic snow cones.
Okay.
Patrick, you got yours?
Yes.
Do you
Are you
wanna
ready?
go?
Did he die?
you-
Did he fall over?
Are you going to do an
I was
intro
waiting
first?
for you to.
Do you want to do an intro before you do a review?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my bonus pick was The Bad Nun 3, which I chose because, along with demon possession movies, there's nothing I love more than a nunsploitation movie. And the synopsis of The Bad Nun 3 is thus. When a traumatized young woman suddenly dies, 3 friends from her grief counseling support group decide to find out what really happened.
Sounds great. Are you ready for your review?
Yeah, it sounds great.
It does
All
sound
right.
great.
Hit it.
Yeah. Okay. Bad Nun 3 is a bad slasher movie. It is not the possession or spiritual ghost nun movie that I was hoping it would be. It liberally rips off from Scream and, surprisingly, the Saturday Night Live skit Land Shark. Also, the costuming seems to have been bought from a cheap Spirit Halloween bin. This is a boring, bad, not horribly bloody slasher movie that is not worth your time.
Yikes.
The end.
Patrick, I'm so you really had a rough time this one, didn't you? Like you
I
got
did.
Summerhouse Slaughter and then you got Bad Nun 3.
Yes. Now, have you both seen the Land Sharks skit from Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Absolutely. Land shark.
Literally in this movie, the killer dressed as a nun comes to the victim's doors, knocks on it, and the victim will go, "Who's there?" Like, "Oh, this is Sister Agnes from blah 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 blah," and starts talking. Like, open the door. I want to give you a blessing. And like, no, I don't think so. Like, oh, I've come to give you the word of God. Can't you let me in? Doesn't sound right. And then the nun starts getting more and more like psychotic. It's like, you have to be saved because you've been sinning so much. And that's when they open the door and then get stabbed.
It sounds
And
great,
I was just
Patrick.
watching
Are you
this and
sure?
going,
Yeah.
it's
Are you sure it's not like absolutely brilliant, like Summerhouse Slaughter, and you're just underplaying it? Because now I can't trust you. You know what I'm saying?
Good as Summerhouse Slaughter.
It's not as
I was thinking when you were
quote,
doing the
good.
review of Trash Man Knox, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, can I really trust this
You
review of
can't.
Trash Man Knox after what you said about
I
Summerhouse
know.
Slaughter?
I feel like I cannot be trusted because I'm famous for loving everything. So
Yes, you are.
take everything
yes.
with a grain of salt. But it is surprisingly good. Like I really thought it was going to be an absolute dumpster fire. You know, it was just
What,
kind of why I picked it.
Summerhouse Slaughter?
Well, Summerhouse Slaughter. Okay, if I'm being real, Summerhouse Slaughter is a dumpster fire, but it's like a really fun dumpster fire that you want to dive into.
It's not.
Mom, is sodomy illegal if you're Jewish?
I hope so, Meg. I really do.
It's not, Lois. It's not.
This is a great example
Really isn't.
of when people find value in different things. One person's garbage is another man's gold. Or woman.
Well, shit. I'm sorry we didn't dig up more treasure for you this week. I, for one, had an absolute wonderful time from start to finish, including this conversation. So do with that what you will.
I did not imagine when we were starting this recording that we would talk so long about that movie.
I know. Well, you don't know what it's like to do a podcast with me when you're talking about shitty films.
I was just going to say, welcome to podcasting.
With me specifically, because Jamie would have talked for 2 seconds and be like, the movie sucked, let's move on, because he does that. He's like, you hear him right off top, he's like, it sucked, I have nothing to say. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've got notes. And he's like, I don't know why you have fucking notes, but whatever. And I'm like, because we're doing a podcast, Jamie, and we got to talk about it.
This has been Untold Horrors with Jamie, Steph, and Patrick. Thank you for listening. Until next time, watch more horror, explore more depths, and be excellent to each other. We'll see you on the other side.
I can't. I'm gonna mute my microphone.
You guys ready for me to spin the wheel now?
That was the funniest thing you could have said.
Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and give the wheel a spin right now.